Recently, a slew of drug kingpins, Dutch gangsters, and criminal leaders have been ravaging the Netherlands. Some of them members of the infamous macro mafia, but authorities have managed to apprehend them. But even in custody, these men are incredibly dangerous. We're talking names like British drug trafficker Curtis Warren, the drug dealer known as De Hakelaar, Johan Verhoek, perpetrator in the Freddie Heineken kidnapping, Willem Holleder, murderer of film director Theo van Gogh, Mohamed Bouyeri, terrorist connected to the Hofstede network, Samira Zeus, and cocaine cartel leader / assassin, Ridouan Taghi. These are merciless people with dangerous resources. With their money and power, you can't keep them down in just your average cell. These criminals demand thick walls, regular monitoring, and the tightest security possible. So there's no better place to send them than the massive and well-secured Abbey Detention Center. What is it like in this maximum security prison? And who are the criminals imprisoned there? Let's find out together. But before we start, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date and not miss any of our videos. The creation of a brand new Special Security Unit, SSU, was necessary after it was discovered that so-called Special Security Units, which are also known in Dutch as extra beveiligde inrichting, were not as escape-proof as anticipated. While not officially designated a Supermax jail, it does meet King's 1999 definition of one. The management of this Supermax was initially the subject of some dispute. As a result, there are two parts to this story. First, we'll explain how the Dutch Supermax came to be, including the crisis that led to the decision to construct one and the discussions that followed. Then we'll conclude by delving into whether or not the prisoners there were treated humanely after its construction. Now, let's begin. Nieuw Vossenveld Jail, a facility of the Dutch Ministry of Public Safety and Justice's Custodial Institutions Agency, Dienst Justitie Inrichting, or DGI, is located in the Dutch town of Vught. It's more commonly known as Penitentiaire Inrichting Vught, or in English, Penitentiary Institution Vught. Maximum security cells make up part of the prison. Some of Europe's most dangerous criminals and offenders are housed in this institution. There isn't much debate going on now regarding the Dutch Supermax, though certain actors are not too thrilled on its concept. That said, those actors most notably are some lawyers, criminologists, and prisoners and their representatives. Most people are glad of its presence, but that wasn't always the case. In fact, its construction was met with considerable opposition. To talk about the prison's history, we have to go back to when Nazi Germany controlled the Netherlands in 1940 to 1955, during World War II. The Nazis sent Jewish and other inmates from the Netherlands to concentration camps like Auschwitz and Bergen-Belsen, via the transit camps Amersfoort and Westerbork. In 1942, construction began on the camp Herzogkenbusch, which is German for 's-Hertogenbosch, a city and municipality in the Netherlands. The camp was fashioned after German concentration camps. Male and female detainees taken prisoner in Belgium and the Netherlands were housed in the camp. SS men and a few SS women worked as guards under the direction of Oberstauffenberg Margaret Gallinat. Initially, the Nazis utilized this area as a transit camp to compile detainees before sorting and transporting them to Poland and other camps. The camp had to be completed before the first convicts, who arrived in 1943, could leave. The camp operated between January 1943 and September 1944. Nearly 31,000 prisoners were housed in the camp during this time, including Jews, political detainees, Romanis, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals, homeless individuals, black market vendors, criminals, and hostages. After World War II, the camp was used as a detention facility for Germans and the wrong people, including Dutch SS members, suspected collaborators, and their children, as well as war criminals. They were first protected by Allied troops, but soon after the Dutch took over. As evidenced by a 1950 parliamentary investigation, the Committee AM Baron Toel van Zurkerken, this led to abuse and executions without trial. Later, Indonesian Moluccans were permitted to occupy the barracks at Camp Vught as their housing. Thus, the historic barracks were initially transformed into several housing units. A section of the camp was cordoned off in 1953 to serve as a facility for young people who had received severe sentences of more than 5 years. The current structure, which can house 120 to 140 inmates, was created by architects and Maurice van den Berg. Cell doors were left open during the day, which was rather progressive policy for the time. An adult institution with a hospital was later added in the early 1970s. The hospital moved to Scheveningen Jail in 1993, and the high-security EBI unit to Neo-Vosveld. In 1999, a forensic psychiatry facility was established to house prisoners with severe mental illnesses. A section of the original juvenile facility is now used in the prison's new department for holding terrorist suspects. Due to the cells not adhering to fire safety regulations, this department was covered by Dutch media. The discovery was made during a multi-stage investigation that was conducted after the fire at the Schiphol Airport Deportation Center in 2005. There are now 15 different regimes at PI Vught, which has a maximum capacity of 750 inmates and TBSers, individuals subject to involuntary commitment. A facility where inmates with a high risk of violence may be safely housed was required due to the increasing violence of some detainees. Initially, Neo-Vosveld featured a temporary maximum security facility called Tebi in 1993. But since 1996, Neo-Vosveld has included a permanent maximum security facility known as the EBI. With very little freedom outside of their cells, the EBI's rules are quite strict. Handcuffed detainees are transferred between cells, and outside exercise cells are encased in cages. Currently, the EBI has the capacity for 18 inmates and has an average occupancy of 9 detainees. 2 international human rights organizations have the Dutch government under fire for holding both convicted terrorists and potential terrorists for trial in 2 maximum security prisons under inhumane circumstances. The 2 special terrorism units, TAs, at the Schiet jail close to Rotterdam and New Vosveld prison in the southern town of Vught are described in a 60-page report by Amnesty International and the Open Society Justice Initiative as operating under a regime that is greatly at variance with the rest of the criminal justice system. Since 2004, the Dutch crime rate has decreased as a result of a preference for rehabilitation over punishment. Prisons have been closing, and inmates now often have a more laid-back lifestyle with single rooms, TV, limited internet access, and monthly visits to their homes. The report, which highlights what it claims are routine violations of detainees' human rights, have not been addressed despite promises by the prison administration to enact reforms. The report also claims that the environment for convicted terrorists and terrorist suspects could not be more dissimilar. According to the report, one fundamental issue is that everyone awaiting trial for terrorism-related crime is automatically assigned to one of the 2 TAs, which undermines their right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. It also means that the prison authorities never go through an induction procedure to determine whether any particular detainees constitute a risk in a setting where the psychological state of convicts might have serious operational implications. TA inmates are often kept in individual cells for 19 to 22 hours a day, whether they are on remand or have been found guilty or not. When they are outside of their cells, communication with other inmates is also severely regulated. This could equate to extended solitary confinement, which is against the law in terms of human rights. The report, which is based on interviews with 50 persons, including 19 former prisoners, also claims that humiliating and intrusive full nudity body searches are routinely and frequently performed on both convicted and non-convicted convicts. The report also says that detainees frequently decline to discuss personal or sensitive family concerns during visits from family or friends because of intense physical and auditory monitoring. Even during medical examinations, prison personnel are present, which breaches the principle of medical confidentiality. Similar to this, their presence during legal consultations has a chilling effect on the confidentiality of discussions between inmates and their attorneys. One lady, who was ultimately found not guilty of all accusations, claimed that throughout her 5 months in the Vught prison, she was isolated from other inmates for the first 10 consecutive weeks, and then for an additional 3 consecutive weeks after. The report concludes that the 2 units work under a system that is incompatible with their mission of enhancing society's safety and security, while also ignoring their obligation to rehabilitate prisoners. That's a wrap on the prison for the Netherlands' most dangerous criminals, Neo-Vosveld Jail. What do you think about this prison? Should they make a better facility to put these dangerous criminals in? Let us know what your thoughts are, and maybe we can discuss it in a future video. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like and share it with your friends. And if you don't want to miss out on our future videos, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on that bell notification icon so you'll always know when we have new content for you. Thanks for watching.